San Francisco has always been one of my favorite cities. The last time I was here was more than a year ago. I left then feeling that I'd been partially responsible for the death of Angus Morgan and his daughter. It happened while I was trying to help Mary Morgan, Angus's wife. I don't know whether anybody remembers Angus Morgan. Before he died, he was head man for every rotten racket in the country. Many times I wished that I could handle the same problem over again. I don't know what I would do so differently, but maybe the end could have been changed. I sent Mary a wire telling her I'd be staying at the Fairmont Hotel for a few days. The bellboy told me a lady was waiting to see me. I knew it had to be Mary Morgan. It was Mary.
Mary.
I heard you were in town.
It's good to see you.
Mike, I've got to talk to you.
Sure.
I never believed Angus died.
What Mary had said surprised me, because Angus and Barbara were dead. I knew it was cruel, but I had to remind her how it all started. I said, Mary, don't you remember that morning you telephoned me and told me to meet you on the boat at 11 o'clock sharp? You were upset, and I made sure that I was on time. It was a miserable day, and the fog was closing in. I even had to look about before I located your boat. I didn't know then what was wrong, but I'd known you and your family too long not to be concerned. I remember walking down the boat slip, wondering what had happened to cause you to sound so desperate when you telephoned me.
Hello.
Mary. It's good to see you again. Where's Barbara?
She's right in here. She's painting.
Hello, Barbara. It's pretty bad weather to be down on the boat, isn't it?
Barbara and I came down yesterday.
Oh. How is Angus?
Angus is always the same. I need your help.
Sure. What's it all about?
Mike, do you know who my husband is?
Yeah.
I found out about him while we were in South America. Since then, I've practically been out of my mind.
Have you said anything to Angus?
I can't. I'm afraid of what he might do to me. It seems incredible to have been married to a man all these years and suddenly find out he's a stranger, that I've been living a lie. Will you help me?
What do you want me to do?
Tell him I want a divorce. I want Barbara. I'm afraid to tell him.
I've known you a long time, Mike. You didn't come here for idle conversation. What's on your mind?
Mary?
I thought so. I understand you were out to the yacht this morning.
Your boys report well.
Knowing what goes on is why I run a successful business. Now, what's this about Mary?
She wants a divorce. She wants to keep Barbara.
I give away only what I want to give away. You can tell Mary from me that she can't have a divorce. Nobody tells me what to do. As for my daughter Barbara, she belongs to me.
You know, Mary can start divorce proceedings tomorrow if she wants to.
But she won't.
I think you're wrong. You better think it over. She can say enough to send you away for a long time.
Okay, Mike, I'll think it over. Give me a couple of days. You may be right.
But Angus, don't get any ideas about Mary.
It was the next morning while I was having breakfast that I read the terrible headline. The story went on to say that while you were off the boat, it had exploded, killing Angus and Barbara. It was a day neither of us will ever forget. Maybe in a way part of it was my fault.
If I come back and tell you they're both dead, will you believe me? Where are you living?
At the Fillmore Apartments. It's in the phone book.
I'll keep in touch with you.
It was a promise I didn't want to make, but I couldn't turn Mary down. If my looking for Angus would help ease her mind, I was willing to go through the motions. But where do you begin looking for a dead man? I went directly to the Records and Identification Office at the police department. I had telephoned a friend of mine to expect me. He gave me the file on Angus and his daughter. I looked at a water-soaked wallet, part of some bridge work, and a child's charred bracelet. I felt sick inside. I wanted to telephone Mary to tell her it was useless. They were dead. But I still couldn't forget her plea or my promise. So I continued going through the motions. I remembered Lily Bentley. Her job for Angus was to keep all of his business records for the West Coast. In fact, Lily had been with Angus the last time I saw him alive. I never liked her, and I never liked the ice water she had for blood. I began looking for her. Typical of what Lily would have around as a watchdog. His name was Toland. I hadn't seen him for 5 years, just about the time he took a long vacation in the federal penitentiary.
Lily, this is a surprise.
After looking all over town for me?
I figured if I dropped your name often enough, I'd find you.
Well, now that you did, what's it all about?
Aren't you going to invite me in?
Well, that's private. Get out.
Some layout. You must read a lot of poems.
He's on his way out. Make sure he doesn't come back.
I think I'll go out the back way.
There's only one way out. The slob.
You were right. There is only one way out.
You came here for something. What is it?
In memory of Angus. I didn't get a chance to celebrate. Nothing like old friends getting together.
Lily had surprised me. It was the first time I'd ever seen her lose her head. Either she was trying to hide something, or else she just hated me for many other reasons. I figured I'd give her time to cool off and then go back for another visit. I had some more questions, and when I had the answers, I could tell Mary Morgan I had tried, and that she was wrong. I rented a car, then doubled back to Lily's place. Toland told me Lily was out. I asked him where she'd gone. He was one of those strange people who learn everything the hard way. So I did it the hard way. Finally, he told me where she was. A hospital called the Seaborg Sanitarium. He said she went there often. What I found out about the Seaborg Sanitarium sounded like big business. In fact, under different circumstances, I would have been impressed. The founder, Dr. Seaborg, had died a year ago. A non-pro by the name of R.M. Matthews bought his whole chain of sanitariums. They stretched across the country. I was certain R.M. Matthews was considered by many to be a benefactor. Maybe he was. But all I could think of was 50 sanitariums. 50 perfect hideouts. Angus Morgan never built his syndicated dynasty by thinking small. For the first time, I began to think. Maybe Mary was right. The nurse said that Lily Bentley was there for her usual checkup. She wasn't allowed visitors on the orders of Mr. Matthews, and no one could see him without an appointment. I gave her my medallion and a message from Matthews that I could be reached at the Fairmont Hotel. She looked at me as though I was crazy. I told her it was a good luck piece. As I left, she still seemed unconvinced. I went directly back to my hotel. I felt that if Angus was alive, he'd telephone me as soon as the nurse gave him the medallion. It was late afternoon, and I began to wonder if I hadn't made a mistake. There had been no calls.
Come in. Well, Lieutenant Broder.
I'd like to talk to you, Lanyard.
Sure.
What were you doing over at the Seaborg Sanitarium?
Thought I might go in for a checkup. Why?
How long have you known?
Known what?
That Angus Morgan's still alive.
He's dead.
Come off it, Lanyard. Someone knew he's still alive. That's a pretty cute trick. Using a sanitarium as a hideout.
Sorry, you just lost me, Lieutenant.
It's too bad that isn't true. The way we figure it, someone slipped into Angus Morgan's office and did a pretty thorough job. How's your game of baseball?
What?
Well, whoever did that job must have used a baseball bat. Oh, yes, sir. I almost forgot. It's yours, isn't it?
Yeah.
Found it in the dead man's pocket. We're checking fingerprints. You're not hard to find. See you later.
Browder was only partially right. Whoever killed Angus had to be someone who knew he was alive. The only thing I regretted was that I hadn't taken that sanitarium apart, brick by brick. I had one idea, Lily Bentley. I wanted to see her fast.
Leave him alone. Watch the front. What do you want?
I want to talk to you.
For what?
When did you leave the sanitarium?
While he was alive. I've got witnesses.
Why did you do it?
I begged him to take me with him. He said it was my fault you found him. We had an argument. You can't prove it. No one can.
Where's the little girl?
I don't know. And I don't care.
Lily's story had been almost too pat, and for the second time she'd overplayed her hand. I kept remembering that Angus had fooled the world once by playing dead. This time a body was found. I wanted to make sure. I went to the morgue. I wanted to see Lily's handiwork. I had seen enough. I didn't think a plastic surgeon would have known where to start. I had one more thing to do, and I was going back to Lily for what I knew would be the last time. I called Lieutenant Broder, and he was still burning. I told him I was phoning from a corner drugstore at Post and Grand Streets. I gave him 3 minutes to have a squad car assigned to follow me. I gave him the license number of the rented car I was driving. He wanted to know what it was all about. I told him it was the story of the man who had twice played dead. I can't tell you what he said, but the most important thing was he agreed to have me tailed.
Pretty handy having a sanitarium. Is that where you get the stiffs to stand in for Angus? He must be out of his mind if he thinks he can get away with it twice.
You're out of your mind.
You go to Angus and tell him something for me. Tell him I'm giving him 24 hours to release that child. If he doesn't, I'll blast this thing wide open.
You're talking crazy.
Tell him I know all the answers. This time he better get smart.
Lily was the only person who could lead me to Angus. I had seen her fear when she realized I knew the right answers. It wasn't very long before she came out and got in a taxi. Until the cab stopped, I'd no idea where Lily was going. And suddenly it all made sense. Where was a better rendezvous for Angus and Lily than the deserted exposition grounds? If you had a strong arm, you could almost throw a stone into the yacht basin. Their getaway plan was very simple, and with a little more luck, they would have made it. I said a lot of thanks that Mary Morgan had asked me to check.
Nice to see you, Angus.
How did
Shut up, Lily. You're a tough man to get rid of, Mike.
So are you. You've been killed so many times, I've had trouble keeping up with you. You look wonderful. Before I leave, you better give me the name of your embalmer.
You were smart enough to know I'd planned that whole phony boat explosion. I'd been tipped the government was moving in. They had enough evidence to throw the key away. And you know me. I get stir-crazy even Grand Central Terminal.
Stay where you are, Lily.
Do as he tells you. What now, Lanyard?
Where's Barbara?
You want money, I'll give it to you. You need a favor, I'll arrange it. But talk about my daughter and you'll end up wearing a box.
It's for Mary.
I don't care who it's for. You haven't got a very good memory. I told you once my daughter belongs to me. That hasn't changed.
I think it has.
You'll wind up a dead hero if you keep pressing your luck. Mary was left plenty.
That isn't what she wants. Where's the little girl?
You pressed your luck too far.
I knew that Angus couldn't be far away. He was hiding somewhere in these grounds. Any minute now, Broda and his men would show up, but that wasn't good enough. I wanted Angus. The noise had disturbed the seagulls. I turned in their direction. And then I saw him.
Angus.
I remembered Angus Morgan's words. You know me. I get stir-crazy in Grand Central Terminal. He had taken the only way out. Lily realized it was all over. She told me Barbara was attending the Hyde School in New York. I told her she was going to need a good attorney because Lieutenant Broder would no doubt be paying her a visit.
Mary. Barbara.
Why, what can I say?
Forget it.
Till she arrived, I couldn't believe it was true.
I understand.
It's like being born again. I guess I should feel sorry for Angus, but I don't. The world's better off without him.
You're right. But when you think of Angus, remember that in his own way, he loved her as much as you.